What is the meaning of life? It is a big question. It's a huge question, in fact, and it's a question to which we all want answers, right? But before we can even begin the process of trying to answer that question, we first need to figure out what the question even means. So on a number of occasions, I've been introduced as an authority on the topic of life's meaning. Inevitably, this elicits a response that I've come to expect in such situations, and the response is laughter. This response is instructive, I think, in that it shows that people really aren't sure what to do with the question, what is the meaning of life? Is it the kind of question that someone can be an authority on? Does it have an answer or answers? More fundamentally, we might ask, does the question even make any sense? So I think all of these sorts of what I call meta questions, that is, questions about the questions of life's meaning, the fact that people ask these is instructive. And I think what it shows is that before we even try to start answering it, we need to get clearer on what the question means. So what can we say with any sort of plausibility about what the question means? Well, consider the following scenario. Let's say there's a father, and let's just say I'm that father, and I'm trying to finish a book chapter while my 3 young sons are playing in the basement. And in the middle of typing a sentence, I hear screaming and crying and yelling, and a fight has broken out yet again. So I leave my computer, open the door to the basement, head down the stairs, and find my sons in the playroom hitting and scratching and kicking, and my children are fighting. I interrupt them, I raise my voice, and I demand, what is the meaning of this? So a natural question is to ask, what does the father, in this case it's me, what does the father mean when he asks the question, what is the meaning of this? Well, I think the short answer is that the father desires something like an explanatory framework through which to understand what he observes, his children fighting. He's going to need access to this explanatory framework if he's going to understand what they're doing and then especially to act accordingly. And so I think when the father asks his sons, what is the meaning of this situation, he's in search of an explanatory framework, and I like to think of it as a narrative. It's the story. Boys, tell me the story of your fight. How did it start? Who started it? And why? I think when we ask the question, what is the meaning of life, we're asking a question that bears striking similarities to the question that the father asked in that scenario, what is the meaning of this fight? You know, over the course of our existence as human beings, we encounter a cluster of phenomena that have what I call an existential charge. An existential charge in virtue of their relationship to interconnected human yearnings, one, to understand aspects of the world that we live in, number 2, our place within that world, and number 3, our desire to live meaningful lives filled with value and significance. So I think we come up against these elements in life that have what I call an existential charge, and they elicit in us accompanying questions. And what we want is an explanatory framework or narrative to make sense out of these questions, answer them, and then to live accordingly. So backing up now to what does the question of life's meaning mean, I think we can say with a fairly high degree of plausibility that when we ask the question, what is the meaning of life, we are in search of an explanatory framework or a narrative that helps us to make sense out of these existentially charged elements of life of greatest existential import to human beings, and questions that surround our origins, our purpose, value, significance, pain and suffering, and death, how it's all going to end. That, I think, is what we should view ourselves as seeking and requesting when we ask, what is the meaning of life? And I think that's a more foundational question that we need to answer before we move on to the question that we really want an answer to, what is the meaning of life?